Jim Miller and my partner Pat Kirwan, as we come to you to break down Houston Texans training camp, and let's set the stage. Pat, when you look at the Houston Texans, 2 years in a row, it looked like a team that was ascending. They were coming off two AFC South division titles. Last year, a complete collapse. What does it lead to? A new head coach, the firing of Gary Kubiak. In comes Bill O'Brien to lead this team back to prominence again when you look at the Houston Texans.
I think he's got his hands full trying to get this thing turned around quickly. He's going to bank on Ryan Fitzpatrick, a journeyman quarterback, who looked pretty good at practice today. But they're not really giving Savage a lot of reps. He said he's gotten 150 reps so far in camp, but he didn't get any reps today. So they're going forward with Ryan Fitzpatrick, and they're going forward with a running back in Arian Foster, who hasn't been healthy for a while, and they're hoping that he can get back in action there. They're going to need that running game. I also think their offensive line has a lot of questions, especially in the area of depth.
Depth issues are an issue, but you bring up a good point. In terms of all the players, out of all the teams we visited during the training camp tour, this team is the most beat up, and that's obviously what Bill O'Brien brings to the table is offensive accountability, as this team was 31st in the league at scoring points, only about 17 a game.
Yeah, and the 17 points sounds terrible, but I'll tell you what's worse. In their division games, they only average 12 points a game. You can't score 12 points a game and win games. Now, what do I think they are? They're a team last year that went up and down the field. That's how they were ranked 11th on offense, but they didn't get into the end zone and they turned the ball over a lot. They were the worst in the NFL in turnover ratio at minus 20. Can Bill O'Brien clean that up? Yeah, I think he can. He pays attention to detail. He practices them hard, and they're all over them. The coaching staff is all over these guys. So I do get a feeling they're going to clean up a lot of bad things.
Physical practice this morning, and it was long and hard as they get the day off tomorrow when you look at the Houston Texans. But let's flip it over on the defensive side of the ball. Wade Phillips, well respected as a defensive coordinator. Well, they elect to go in another direction. Romeo Crennel now leading the charge, but much like the guys on offense, he's dealing with a beat-up group. No Brian Cushing on the field yet. No Jadeveon Clowney this morning as he's still recovering from a sports hernia.
Well, I like that they're taking their time with Brian Cushing. He's not ready to go yet, but I talked to Brian a little bit this morning. He'll be ready to roll. Clowney, they're just being careful because of the sports hernia, but I thought there was some interesting things going on out there. I saw J.J. Watt on the right side, which means when Clowney comes back, you're going to see at times Clowney and Watt on the same side. That should open up unbelievable opportunities for Whitney Merciless on the other side, and they're moving Brooks inside, get ready for some inside linebacker blitzing. They'll be good up front. Can the secondary hold up against the great passing teams? That's a question I haven't answered.
Have Jonathan Joseph. Certainly when you look at DJ Swearinger, he's going to be a safety, bringing the heat as well, but like the defensive group here for the Houston Texans. And can they rebound? I think you talked about it a couple times, Pat. Can this team be like a Kansas City Chiefs with a quick turnaround? Is the depth there for this team?
Well, you cannot be the 7th-ranked defense, the 11th-ranked offense, and have a 2-win season. That doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, they have an opportunity to turn this around. Can Ryan Fitzpatrick be Alex Smith? Because that's the question you're ultimately going to have to ask yourself. If Andre Johnson stays here and he's back on the field healthy, they got a 2-headed monster receiver, yes, they could turn it around.
Pretty good point when you look at Ryan Fitzpatrick. Can Bill O'Brien coach the turnovers? Because when you look at Ryan Fitzpatrick, in the last 4 years, over 80 turnovers, and obviously that'll be a key for the Houston Texans. For for Pat Kirwan and Jim Miller, thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time on SiriusXM NFL Radio.